Welcome back, everybody, to the Online Battle podcast. We're talking episode 4 today. Back with Alex and Didi. How you guys doing? Viral Alex today, apparently on Twitter.
Oh yeah, apparently. Only for a day though. Only for a day.
You'll get back out there,
right?
Well, as usual, I'll start with your guys' ups and downs. We'll start with downs. Who went down for you guys this week?
I'm gonna say Dazed.
Do you have a reason why? Because of paranoia.
Yeah. What's your reason why?
Yeah, the paranoia and the extraness.
I think my down is Q. Only because the flip is good. It's just I feel like she might be expendable in both sides, and now she's definitely a target from the survival side as well. I think it's good that she flipped. I just don't know if she did it the right way.
Q comes on this podcast, she's gonna call you a hater, Alex. Just telling you now.
Not a hater, Q. I'm like one of your biggest fans. Come on, but I do have to say I don't think the move was the most beneficial to your game, especially the way it was handled, I guess, or the way everyone also received it as well. Because Dazed, Megan, Dot just they didn't trust her, so
went up.
I say Kelsey went up for me.
Yeah, Kelsey definitely went up. I think Dillion went up for me because I think that if Q stayed loyal, let's not say loyal. If Q stayed with that side, regardless of how much shit they put her through, right? Dillion would probably be the target. And now that she's flipped, Dillion it's going to be a target, but it's going to be a much more confusing for everyone and complicated. So he might be able to skate through a little bit more in the upcoming weeks.
Well, we'll begin with Dillion.
Okay.
He did tell Dot that Q and Dazed and Mike were his biggest targets in the game. And then Dot immediately went to tell Dazed as Dot's playing his let's talk to everybody game, which is this whole episode was let's talk to everybody, but
yeah, that's Dot's game right there. That's really Dot's game. I will have to say, I think that playing some people say that they're loyal, but that's not loyal. Like the information that you're giving and how quickly you give it and how sort of you're flaming things up. Definitely not loyal, whether it's loyal to Q or not. I think I don't know. I will say Dillion is so honest because we are talking about Dillion. Dillion is very honest, and I think that actually helps him because he was asked a question, he answered it, but he's not going to back down from that. So I feel like that gains more respect than anything, even if at first Q was like, wait, what the fuck? Why is Dillion saying my name? Look at the end of the episode, he was willing to go with Dillion, even though she knows that he thinks of her as a threat. So his honesty is what's helping him so far, I think. His bluntness.
What about you, Didi? What are your thoughts on Dillion and Dot at the beginning of this episode?
I can't remember what Dot did at the beginning of this episode. What did he do?
Well, he was just telling Dazed about Dillion.
Fast forward over Dot. Dillion. I like his honesty too because I feel like Q tried to set him up for bait when she asked him about it, and the fact that he admitted it, he gained some respect from her.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
So Dazed is kind of paranoid with Dot in that he sees that he's close to Kelsey, and he thinks he's also
Dazed is paranoid with everybody.
Dazed is definitely 24/7 paranoid. So am I, but it's fun. It's fun to watch. It is true though.
I mean, why is everybody trying to get close to Kelsey, do you think?
Okay, that's also a question I was having while watching the episode. I was like,
Kelsey is a lovable person.
She is. She really is. But it's also it is very funny to see how that happened because I'm sure Treasure and Dillion also had a few talks with other people from the other side too. But the fact that it's always Kelsey that first Dazed wanted to attack Kelsey in the beginning, and somehow when everything went back down, Dazed still wants to work with Kelsey. Q wants to work with Kelsey. Dot wants to work with Kelsey. They all want to work with Kelsey. So it's very funny to watch, and I feel like it's just, I think Kelsey she seems like a loner in the game, so I feel like people want her as a number, but in reality, she probably has the most connections right now. Like she's in the middle of everything, without it being like a big deal. No one really thinks of her as like, oh, she's a culprit. It's just she has connections to everyone.
Didi, do you think that's a good thing for Kelsey or a bad thing for Kelsey?
I think it is a bad thing because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
I mean, she got all these connections with people, but they're gonna start trying to like picture her as the mastermind.
Agreed.
So I think it's gonna put a target on her back, being that she's so likable.
I mentioned before, like Kelsey is someone who's sort of quiet, and I thought she was able to float by without doing anything. But now she is kind of caught up because there's so many people that want to work with her. That is, I agree with Didi. It's definitely a bad thing for her game because people might just be like, oh, well, she seems to be the common denominator. Let's get her out instead, instead of someone who is sort of playing behind and not getting into too much drama.
Meanwhile, Mike he's still trying to get into an alliance with someone. Right now, he's trying with Meg and Fanguy because he's getting at least information from Meg and Fanguy.
Yeah.
So, like, how do you think Mike is doing trying to get into this? Or just trying to get in with Fanguy and Meg?
It's so funny to me.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Like, to be honest, he really doesn't even need an alliance with them.
That's the thing.
He just wants it so bad for some reason.
What I think is really good for Mike was that his game was blown up week 1, and it was out in the open, and now he has to play from the bottom. But the thing is, he survived, and that's the most important part. He survived the second week of elimination, and now he is still at the bottom of everyone's lineup. But that's a really good chance for him to just like slowly creep back into anything. Because like everyone sort of is aware that Mike is unlikable somehow to everyone, so he's expendable, and which means that he's not the target at this moment. So I think it's actually not a bad thing that he's constantly looking for alliances, because he is just trying to see what sticks, and nothing needs to stick. Nothing has to stick or doesn't have to. Like, I feel like his game is very free balling right now, but if he does get into an alliance, I think that probably puts him back into a bad spot, because if people start knowing about it, then it's like, okay, Mike, get out. You know what I'm saying? But as of now, playing the lone wolf and trying to get people on your side is not a bad idea.
Do you guys think Mike can keep his mouth shut from getting him in trouble for long?
No.
He can't.
No, but it's not a bad thing. That's just his personality. I think he's also a game bot. He's also someone who thinks a lot and is paranoid, and so I feel like it's sort of his nature to like say things or point things together and like piece things together like Dazed does. But people already kind of know that's his style anyway. So hopefully he can keep it a little shut and tight-lipped, but we'll see.
So, Didi, everybody was underestimating Kelsey and Treasure. Kelsey blew everybody away at the latter game of 2048. And then Treasure also was in the top 3 along with Meg. How do y'all feel about that?
I love it because like
Same.
They always trying to underestimate somebody, thinking they all uppity and stuff. Hoity-toity, they think they hoity-toity and stuff. So they need to get a reality check.
I love this is a classic survival thing. Like in the real show Survivor as well, people like to sort of imagine who is a comp beast or who's going to be a physical threat. And sometimes it's right, sometimes it's completely wrong. I mean, how are you able to just be like, okay, this person's probably not gonna be that good at comps? Like, you can't just say that. Like, yes, Treasure and Kelsey came from isolation, did not come from survival. However, like they didn't say about Dillion because he did well in the first round. But you really just can't just like automatically put people in boxes. And I think this week is a great example of how that bit you in the ass, because now there's 2 out of the 3 isolation people in leadership positions. So it's very funny to watch that too. Like people freaking out and getting really frantic and very unexpected. I love Kelsey's little meme thing where she's like, what's the range? And everyone makes fun of it. It's actually so funny. Like everyone makes the same joke. It's great.
So then I guess the game of telephone in this episode continued with a lot of people. We had Fanguy telling Meg about him and Mike getting along. And then we have her telling Dot and Q telling Dillion and Kelsey. And then also we have Dot also telling Q about what Dillion said, that he sees Q and Dazed as a target. All this game of telephone. Is this the paranoia because everybody's talking?
Yeah.
Yes.
So messy.
People need their stories straight.
We didn't have that. I don't think like in our season, like this early on at least, we did not have the whole telephone game going on where it's like, this person says this about you, like, or like this person wants you out or thinks you're a threat. Like, nah, we were just trying to get along with people. I think that they were gaming really hard, and I don't know if it's working. Like it's I think everyone is in for a loop. You have to be calm during these situations, and I feel like most of the players are pretty like up there in terms of energy and paranoia. So I think this will definitely ruin a lot of people's games because of how these things are set. Like, I mean, like Dillion saying that Q's a threat made Q do all of this, investigation only to come to the conclusion of now I need to flip sides, or like making everyone think that she's not loyal. So it's like it blows everyone up for no reason.
BD, I kind of feel like on Isolation 1 there was definitely games of telephone going.
Oh, okay.
It was, yes. Involving Kelsey, yes, and Dillion.
Oh, yeah.
And Leo, I'll go ahead and throw him in there.
So I guess we'll circle back to Dazed's paranoia, who this is bad trading games. In the first season, he had this big old conspiracy theory that Fanguy and Mike were working together at one point in the game that almost screwed him. It didn't. Well, in this time, it's that Q is working both sides when really everybody's just trying to work with Kelsey.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Dazed kind of getting a little overboard in that awkward conversation with Q?
He just annoyed me so much. Like, if you're gonna talk shit about somebody's gameplay, at least make sure yours is on point. Like, he was the one. I don't want to. Let me be politically correct. He's one of the worst players on this season.
Wow.
To be honest, yes, because like he think he knows something and it's completely opposite.
Well,
of what
he does have wrong predictions for sure.
I've never seen him say anything right.
I will say, I agree. I think strategically and also like what he thinks or his instincts about the game are kind of wrong. He has a lot of like wrong assumptions. However, I think that he is somehow socially playing not a terrible game. Like it seems like he's not like, I feel like he would be like Fanguy's number one. He's also kind of Meg's like, like they vibe well too. And the only person who's not well with is really Q. But I feel like he is getting along with everyone. Like Kelsey wants to work with him still, So it's like, I think that he isn't doing terribly in that aspect, but he definitely is getting things wrong and bad assumptions in general.
He does have a good social game. I don't think he has a good social game, but he does, because that's what got him far on his first
season.
It was a social game.
I feel like he gives off the vibe that he's not good at social, like socially, but he is. Like, and somehow he is. Like, somehow people still want to work with him. I mean, Mike didn't want to piss him off, like, in the first week. Like, it's all part of it somehow, like, where it's like, they know Dazed is kind of a wild card, so they don't want to get on his bad side, maybe. I don't know what the deal is, but people seem to want to work with him versus against him. There's no one actively against him besides Q.
Do you guys think he could hone in his paranoia though?
Probably. I mean, there's a lot of paranoia. Like he has a lot, so probably I would reel it in, but it wouldn't be Dazed if it wasn't for if it's not paranoia. That's just how he operates, and I think sometimes when you try to hone in things that you think are bad traits, kind of hurts your game in the end because your default is sometimes the most natural and the best way to go about it, right? So if he's always thinking very paranoid, and he tries to stop being paranoid, then there might be moments where he's supposed to be paranoid, he's not, you know? I feel like that's just how he plays. So I embrace it for how it is.
Do you guys think Meg and Dot are adding to the paranoia? Because they're clearly not over your guys' season with Q. Because they're looking for any reason.
About that.
They had a great
the
thing
audacity
going.
to say that Q was playing both sides in our season of survival. I can't believe he had the audacity to say that.
She was the tip on the other side. She never went the other way.
Exactly. And that was like flip-flop at the beginning. It's I
think people assume that me and Elizabeth were more towards the other side for some reason. When in reality, like I play with you guys way more, and I would totally be on more Q side than the other side. And then Elizabeth was already, she was already gutted by the other side already. So she was already in the middle. So Q was never like playing both sides. She had one clear target and told everyone the target. And that's what she did. So if she's working with you this season, you should expect her to go pretty hard with you guys, even if she has Kelsey on the side here, whatever the case is. I know it's hard to trust that, but her loyalty does lie with the two from the past season. The fact that Meg and Dot did this so early, I think it tarnishes their game because they really had a good thing going, and they could have dominated without doing much. Now they're the center of attention when they were kind of in the background 1 week ago or whatever, one elimination ago. They were good, Now it's like they're the center of drama. It's so stupid. It is so stupid.
Yeah, and also, I mean, why cause this stuff with Q when the target's supposed to be Delion?
Exactly. First of all, okay, so if your target is Delion, why are you so worked up on the Kelsey thing if that's not your target at the moment? I mean, Dot wants to work at Kelsey, so why is it a problem if Q is talking to Kelsey?
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
And they're like, it's because they don't trust her for some reason when she has proven from the last season at least that she's probably the most trustworthy one because, like,
yes, out of those three, yes.
Because Q did burn Meg in the first season in terms of telling her something and not going through with it at all.
But Meg did the same thing, though.
But Meg did exactly. So it's like, I don't know. It's really tricky when these biases from previous seasons come into play. I do not fault Dot and Meg for this, for what happened with like this season. However, I will say, like, looking from it from the outside, Q, Meg, and Dot could have went farther. And obviously, you don't have to trust Q to the end, but you don't have to take her out now, or you don't have to like separate her now. You know what I'm saying? Like all of this paranoia with her deteriorates from the actual goal, and now we're back to fighting with survival people again. I do think that survival is so dysfunctional. Like the first week kind of proved that, and they try to keep it together for one freaking week, and now they're back to like clawing at each other and figuring out who's playing a sneaky game. Like, I don't know. I mean, it might be some people's best interest to do that. Maybe some people need to continue staying behind the shadows and firing up these. I think Dot is doing that, honestly. Like he's sort of the center of this drama, but he's not going to be the one who's getting any repercussions. You know what I'm saying? I think Meg is more vocal about it and Dot isn't. So there's some people who are doing this almost on purpose to like continue staying under the shadows and being very low key about it and under the radar. So it was a lot this week, honestly.
Speaking of Dot, though, why do you think he's volunteering that he'll throw a challenge if he has to?
Something is wrong.
No idea.
I have no idea.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. I don't get it.
Because I feel like maybe he's pretty confident that if he threw it, he wouldn't be the one going home. But there will be a point when everyone's like, Dot is a pretty good player, should go home instead of the obvious person, And the only way to secure yourself into next week is to not be in the game or in the competition round where you have to fight it out, you know? Why would you volunteer yourself to be a possibility, you know? It's just not a way to go. Pawns go home. Pawns always go home.
Well, after the confrontation, Q decides to talk to Delion, the other supposed target. I don't know who the target is, but to maybe work something out. Basically, ratting out that survival is all working together. She does this to Delion and Kelsey. Thoughts on this?
I think it's brilliant. It's very brilliant. The fact that she did
Yeah.
that. I don't know if the numbers are good for her in that sense, because I feel like survival might be coming after her strong. And like she don't have enough people on the other side of isolation to like combat that. But what she did was blow up everyone else's game but herself. Like in that one moment. I mean, her game is still kind of exposed, but she now is saying Fanguy, Meg, Dot, Dazed, Mike, all are working together, and that's scary. And that's gonna scare Kelsey and Treasure as leaders to definitely make sure one of them goes home. So I think Q is smart for doing that because she probably felt in danger, and she probably was. So,
do you think Q and Delion could work together, Didi?
That's hard to say. That's very hard to say. I'm not sure. I can't answer that.
I think short term, maybe this week, you know. But I do feel like, well, one, Delion did say that Q is a big threat, and Q will remember this. And two, their personalities will clash probably. So we'll see what happens, especially if Q is feeling controlled by him, possibly, you know. So I maybe 1 or 2 weeks, maybe 1 or 2 eliminations, and then they're back at it.
Well, after all of this chaos, the debate between the Survival Alliance is that should they put Delion and Q on a team or should they put them separately? I mean, if they put them separately, can they put them separately? Because they don't have a say. It's Treasure and Kelsey.
Oh, yeah, they can't do it.
Yeah, they don't really have a say in that. If I was Treasure and Kelsey, I would probably put them on different teams. Well, it depends on who the other people will be playing, right? Like, I mean, for ISO, it's only going to be the 3 ISO. Like, Delion's going to be the only one left. So I would probably ideally put Q and Delion on separate teams because in case they lose, I don't know. No, actually, yeah. If they separate Delion and Q, and one of them loses, right, and the other side can't decide who to pick, then the leaders pick, right? So then
they would reboot first.
It would be able to but they would be able to save Delion or Q, and those two are working with them at this point. So I would totally separate them. I wouldn't put them on the same team. But for survival, I would put them, like if I was on survival side, I would be like, put them on the same team. It makes the most sense because it probably does.
Well, Q and Delion are talking about voting in a Fanguy and Dazed. However, Monet ends up saving Dazed because I guess astrology goes far.
Monet, bro.
This is what I be talking about when I say
not gonna have
let
it back.
that shit go. Like, what in the fuck was that from?
Was it astrology? Was it because of astrology? I forget.
I think they had a
related. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I don't fault her because she didn't talk to many people besides her ISO people, and I think that she wanted to branch out. I don't think she has the memo that it's survival versus ISO right now. You know what I'm saying? She got sent home before that happened. So I think that it's just unfortunate that she saved Dazed, but I think for her at the time it made sense. I wouldn't have picked Dazed, but if I wanted to branch out, then I might have picked someone that's
that makes no sense because she's the one that separated them.
Yeah, and he's not gonna. That's also true. He's not gonna have her back. Like,
yeah.
First of all, he thinks that Ashley saved him. So Monet wasted it, but not only wasted her power, she kind of ruined Q and Delion's plans. So I'm really scared to see what happens. I do think one of isolation is probably going home again. I mean, I'm counting Q as isolation at this point, but I think it could be Delion or Q, unfortunately.
So Meg's wondering why everybody's trying to work with Kelsey. But do you think Meg's just too loyal to certain people while everybody else in her alliances are like trying to work with Kelsey?
Megan don't care. Megan is like, I'm with my team and that's it. Nobody else. Like, she don't even let nobody talk to nobody else. That's crazy.
Yeah, she's pretty possessive in that sense.
Yeah, I didn't want to call her that, but yeah.
But I mean, yeah. I would like to be on that alliance with her and then still have my side flings without her knowing, you know? Like, I think Kelsey is, I don't know if she's doing it on purpose, but she is revealing a lot freely to people. Like, she's revealing that she trusts Q because Q told her something, right? Like, I would never have said that because that really does like make people think, you know? I could have just been like, oh, Q gives me good vibes. That's really, you know, that's really it. I would not have given that in-depth explanation. So I think Meg isn't wrong to just be like very paranoid about other people's relationships. And it's her strategy to sort of stay loyal where everyone's so paranoid she won't be someone that people think is disloyal. You know, she is loyal and people will not doubt that, you know. But I do think she needs more connections though, for sure.
I mean, what should Kelsey do then? She has all these connections. Does she need to pick one soon?
She needs to pick one.
I think that she does need to pick one, but I feel like you can play along with having connections with everyone for a minute. You don't have to specifically pick one right away. I think that once you get a vibe that people are starting to catch on, then totally pick a side. Maybe it's too late by then, but like I like having all these different things, like options, you know. I like playing that way, but like it's not an easy thing to do. So I hope that she's able to navigate that. But yeah, I think she could play around with it for now.
Well, with Dazed telling Q that he knows how she played in her season and that she was disloyal in her season, Q then confronts Meg about that, and
call.
That crack is there now between Q and Meg for sure, just like last season. How are you guys feeling about that?
First of all, Dazed does not know how she played in their season because he didn't see it. So I don't even know why he said that.
But Dot said it. It's not
that's the fault. That's the issue. It is the fault. Like if you didn't see it for yourself, don't.
Yeah. Don't believe everything. Yeah, for sure. But it's also a good tactic to sort of say that because someone else said it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not a bad tactic to be like, well, apparently you're disloyal. You know what I'm saying? Like just even it doesn't matter if you believe it or not. It's like someone said it. Why not sort of like?
But I think he actually believes it though.
Probably, but I mean, the thing is like, I mean, that's true. But I feel like they were never close in the beginning anyway. They had this very loose ass relationship because of the whole Monet splitting teams up. Like that was the spawn of this whole thing. And it wasn't a good foundation in the first place. So I don't know. I think Dazed, like saying that to Q is sort of, it allows him to sort of air it out without having to blame for it because obviously he didn't see the season, so she can't really blame him for getting that information. She has to blame Meg or Dot, and that's what she did. So I don't think Dazed did a bad move there necessarily, but if he believes it entirely and then like vows to never work with Q, then that's a problem because you can't just believe everything you hear.
It's the whole like Manu thing all over again. I just don't.
You said Manu?
Yeah, it's the whole thing all over. I hate people like that.
I'm dead. That's very true though.
So what does Meg need to do? Because obviously they got out that she was after Q even though the target's Dillion.
For now she can continue doing what she's doing, I guess.
Yeah.
She has the numbers.
She's still getting voted in as leader. No one really thinks that of anything else.
She doesn't have the numbers as leader though.
She doesn't, but she's still safe, and I think that people like her enough to put her in that position. That I feel like she doesn't need. I feel like she does more next week. She becomes a target because she's already a 2-time leader, and there's this whole drama going on with Q, and she's part of that. So if you do anything extra, I think that it would draw attention more than anything. So I would probably try to lay low because it was working the first time. Like you were laying low, no one worried about you. But now, if you keep doing shit, you might be a target for someone.
Well, any other final thoughts on this episode before I bring in Fanguy?
Oh, Fanguy's coming. I mean, speaking of Fanguy, I think Fanguy's playing a really good game at this point because he is now under the radar. I mean, he was the first target, sort of. And he came back, and then that was kind of it. He mended with Mike. The whole rumor that Mike and Fanguy are working together is still going around, but he's not sort of, Fanguy isn't being like questioned or he's not being like sussed out. I mean, he is trying to be sent to elimination round by Q and Dillion, but I think he's playing well with the other side.
And before we bring in Dazed, DD, in the preview, Dazed is kind of losing it. What is Dazed going to do going forward? I mean, he saved this round, but it's only one round.
He's going to keep being paranoid. Like, it's no stopping that. He can't control it. He's going to keep being paranoid, making wrong predictions. He may be safe being that he's on the larger team, per se, but I don't know how long that's going to last, though.
Well, I guess I shall bring in Fanguy and Dazed. Yo.
Hello.
Hello, Fanguy. Hello, Dazed. Long time no see since the challenge podcast earlier. Well, before we begin this, just want to say no spoilers from you two. Just please talk about the first 4 episodes because Dee will try and get spoilers, and that's what she does.
So you really have to single me out, though.
Hey,
Alex is the one that says spoilers, but Didi's the one that wants.
I am the one who says spoilers, though, so it's all good.
I'm always fishing for spoilers.
It was Didi. Well, let's see. We'll begin with you, Fanguy. We'll start from the beginning. Coming into this game, so far, you were okay to work with everybody from your season. However, Mike wanted to work with everybody from your season except you. Why do you think that was?
He was just having one of his bipolar bad days, I suppose. Like he really is okay sometimes, and other times he's just really emotional. And like I don't even think the edits got into just how much he was coming at me at first.
Wow.
And when someone's just going at you that hard for no reason, like it's tough to just sit back and take it, man. So I started speaking up and said some shit I probably shouldn't have. But, I don't know. I don't know what his deal was because I thought Dazed was way meaner to him on our season than I was. So I was kind of baffled.
Dazed, where did you stand with Mike at that first round? I mean, obviously we kind of know. Did you really think that he was the one throwing out your name, or did you just don't trust him? So
going into the game, like I really didn't want to work with him. Like I still had bad feelings from the things that he said to me during our first season. And now, like I still talk to him occasionally. He's not that bad outside of the game, but in the game, I just know what type of person he can be, and I didn't want to deal with it. But at this point in the game, like it started getting around that he was trying to save me somehow, and I was like, what the hell is happening? Because I'm obviously not working with him, in this last episode.
But in the first episode, didn't you guys like discuss that possible alliance? Maybe
that was because we were all in a group, and
right.
For me, when you're all in a group, you kind of want to hint that there's an alliance to kind of force everybody into it, because it's stupid to say no, like in that group setting, because you're just making a target out of yourself. And knowing that he was going in to be a leader, like you really wanted to push that alliance to try to get him to keep you safe.
Well, I mean, it worked because he did try to do that. It worked because he did try to like make that happen.
What'd you say, Didi?
I asked, so he was kissing ass, basically.
Me?
Yeah.
I didn't kiss Mike's ass at all in this game. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I'm saying the strategy you said trying to get make like hints in alliance because he was going to be the power player.
I wouldn't say that's kissing ass. It's if a leader is in a group with you, try to get them to commit to an alliance so that if they don't follow through with it, you have a reason to go after them because they didn't stick to what they said they would. And it's so early in the game that you really need a reason to go after somebody.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Mike did try to save you, and then you guys still went after his ass. So, I mean, for him, it was damn if you do, damn if you don't. I mean, I think the way he handled the way he tried to save you was probably wrong, but I do think that he was probably trying to do that, at least for the first round.
Yeah, I definitely think he was. And conversations we had after that, I mean, he was on my side. I mean, when it comes to Mike, I would much rather work with him than against him because he's a comp beast. Yeah. So I do want to keep him close, but there's no way like I'm ever getting so close that I'm trying to protect him.
Now, Fanguy, I have a question because I feel like your game completely got side-railed because of the whole Mike situation. How would you have tackled this beginning part of the game if that didn't happen? Like, were you trying to be much more low-key probably, right?
Yeah. You actually go back to our very first group conversation. I said like 10 words that whole time. I was definitely trying to be like way more low-key, but like I said, when you got somebody who just like has you in their crosshairs in the open in front of everybody and they just won't get your name out of their mouth, like I didn't even retaliate the first while he was doing that. You know, the person who's like, and like, eventually I'm just gonna snap, especially because it was Mike. So it just like, yeah, my game is completely different if Mike doesn't act that way. And I actually think Mike's game is completely different if he doesn't
because of your existence.
Mike's probably not a target if Fanguy isn't there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Just because there's no fight.
Right.
He brought the target.
I have a question about that Fanguy. How did you feel that they had in Dazed? How did y'all feel that they had this whole argument 3 different times and they still voted the opposite?
I mean, Fanguy, take that. I really have no comment on it.
I did not know at all that Mike went to bat to Dazed for that hard until I saw that conversation with you guys. So even when I heard DeLeon and Monet being like, yo, Mike was really trying to save you, Dazed, in my brain, I was like, that's never gonna happen. Like, it couldn't have been that much. Like, but watching the video, I was like, damn, like he's really going to bat for this dude. So I don't know. I think I can only guess it was just like Mike thought at the time, it turned out not to be true, that I'm more chill than Dazed, and Dazed was going to be a little bit more vocal back at him. And I don't think Mike realized that I was going to pop back at him as hard as I did. So I think that might have been why Mike picked me to come after instead of Dazed, is because, you know, I was. And even at first, he's like telling me off, and I'm like, I respect that, Mike. Just tell me it's personal. But he just won't stop. So then I'm just pulling what Alex said on the podcast last week. And I'm like, nobody likes you, Mike. Nobody fucking likes you because you're just being a dick.
Aww.
He was such a jerk to me for no reason. And I just couldn't take it.
Yeah, he had every reason to do that to me, not Fanguy. Right. I don't understand why he went that way.
Well, do you guys think that it is a sort of a tactical move to do something like this? It's like, yes, he was emotional, but I feel like sometimes people do that on purpose. I mean, just to start something up. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you think? No?
I don't think it's a good plan at all. And it wasn't just because it's me. Like, if you look, they voted Mike in before DeLeon, who wasn't even there. Yeah. And it all was because of the way he was behaving. Yeah. Like, that's what I mean. Like, you know, everybody has their favorites watching the show, but there was a reason that everybody but me, in fact, voted him in before the guy who wasn't there. And it was because of how he was acting. So I think when you come into the game that way, it could be strategic, but you got to remember it's going to paint just as big a target on you as it is going to paint on the person you're going after. And I think that's what Mike forgot about that.
I think there's a big difference between just being argumentative and starting fights with somebody and just being absolutely condescending and egotistical to the point that you're painting this I'm better than all of you kind of picture for everybody, to the point where screw this, just we're going to throw you in. Because I got in a couple fights early. Fanguy got in some fights and they weren't trying to, I mean, they were trying to target Fanguy, but ultimately they put Mike in there, what, 1 or 2 times? So for me personally, it's the condescension that's coming from him that just irks me, that, makes me want to target him, because he thinks he's better than everybody else.
I want to talk about Monet saying that she was coming in with biases and it kind of splitting into isolation versus survival for a while. I'll start with you, Fanguy, because there was that conversation where you were high and you were a little awkward with it.
No, it's true.
I was so confused.
I was. No, I had voted for Monet to be leader, which is why it even shocked me more when she put me in, because I felt like I had showed her I was trying to work with her, and I did want to work with her. So I was shocked by that, but I keep hearing y'all ask the question on the podcast, like, why did we think Mike was working with the ISO people? And it's obvious. It's because he got them to put me in at the very beginning. So what am I supposed to think? Like, Mike is clearly targeting me. I voted for Monet to be a leader, so she should have no reason to target me. And yet all 3 of them say my name. So it definitely, from my perspective, looked like all 3 of those were working together whenever my name came out of all 3 of their mouths right off top. And I knew Mike was the only one with any beef with me. Well, Q had beef with me too, but I didn't know that till watching this back too. Like, she and I had spoken like 10 words all the whole time, and apparently I'm just at the top of her hit list. So. She
never got good vibes from you, apparently. So, well, I was gonna ask you too.
You're tangential.
Yeah, very.
You're tangential. Yeah. I was gonna ask both of you. I mean, in the way that the show is edited, it really does seem like Survival team thought that ISO was a huge thing first before they even ever. I mean, there's right now to this day they're not technically together yet, right? So would you guys agree, like, you guys definitely were a little paranoid about like how split everything was, or did it really seem like that? It's just it wasn't exactly that,
I don't know. Days, were you paranoid, Days?
I was definitely paranoid, and it started from Monet kind of putting us in these different groups, except for Fanguy and Aspen, because they vocally said, hey, I voted for you as leader. But I had that just buried in my brain, like, she split us up for this reason. And she did say there was some bias because she had played with them and she was comfortable with them. But once you get in your head, I mean, all the survival folks they're gamers. Like, they're super competitive. They know they have to win competitions and manipulate their way through the game. And I guess we kind of overreacted thinking the ISO was going to do the same. And that's not at all the case. They're not even working together. So it's just, we blew it out of proportion.
Yeah, it is funny because I'm watching. I'm like, okay, these 3 are. It kind of sucks because everyone else is like they're together, and the 3 of them seems like they just want to get to know everyone else. They don't even know you guys. So I mean, it's a good tactic though. I mean, you guys now have clear sides and everything, but it definitely was like I feel like it was the assumption that kind of made everything like go crazy, and they had no idea. They weren't even like in on that, you know. But I just want to hear from that.
I have a question, Nick. When it was voting for the first round of voting for the leader, did they vote for one person or 2 people?
The round that they voted for a leader, they voted for 2 people. No, the first round.
No, the first one was Monet. It was just Monet, right?
The first time they voted for 1. Yeah, it's just Monet.
Okay, so Fanguy, you told Monet that you voted for her. But then you turn around and told Kelsey that you voted for her. I just want to know which one you voted for.
That was just
he was high.
That was just me getting hot in the conversation. And Kelsey, what happened was Kelsey had just talked about episode 1 of Isolation. So Kelsey was like looking back at Isolation episode 1, this and this and this. And I heard that, and in my brain, I was like, that's why I voted for Monet, because I watched episode 1 of Isolation and I liked her. That makes sense. And so I just like, it was just such awkward timing that I responded like that, because I was actually talking to Monet, telling her
that's the high frequency. You gotta get on the same high frequency.
I don't smoke, so I have to like.
Nah,
somebody has to translate.
He was definitely.
It was just a total like slip of the timing, like, because I was talking to Monet there. And then I watched episode 1 too. That's why I voted for you, but it came off like it was to Kelsey.
Kelsey, yeah. That's funny. Good. That was a good moment too.
I want to go back to Monet with you there, Days, because we talked about this earlier because DD hates astrology like Mike in these games. But your talk with Monet about astrology seemed to actually make her seem to want to work with you or give you a chance or something.
Crazy.
Yeah, that was actually for me kind of a pregame research thing because I followed Monet on Instagram after watching ISO, and I knew she was into astrology
pretty good at it.
and tarot. But I'm also an astrology nerd, so I knew that like I could throw out these terms, and she knew what I was talking about.
Right.
But it's weird because looking back, I didn't catch it until rewatching the episode. But when we first voted Monet was leader, and we were having all these discussions, and that astrology came up, I had said that I was a Scorpio, but nobody heard it except for her. And she asked out loud who said they were a Scorpio. I never heard it. So if I would have heard it, I would have known right away to go and talk to her because I think she was looking for like some type of loyalty or something like that. But
Scorpios are pretty loyal.
But we got into that discussion and it worked out great. It didn't change in my head that she was working against me because I thought she kept me safe to put a target on my back. So
wow, you went through hoops on that one.
you really need some paranoia medication.
Nah, but no. To be fair though, that's a very valid thing because I feel like I would do
Alex,
something.
You need the same medication as well.
I probably do, but I would totally do something. I would totally save days just to play a target on him. I probably would do that. I'm not gonna lie.
The first thought was that Aspen saved me because me and Fanguy were close. But then like we started talking, I'm like, would Aspen really be able to get that power a second time in a row?
Yeah.
Right. So it has to be Monet. And Monet probably did it to put a target on my back. So
now, Fanguy, you a little less so, but other players you're working with in your alliance kind of underestimating Treasure and Kelsey's competition prowess. You know, Kelsey found the range.
She did. She did.
I hate
she
that
like
game.
Destroyed everyone.
Like, what's the range?
Yeah. No, I think we did. I think our whole alliance underestimated him. Just because. I mean, it's just isolation and survival are two different games. So I think we kind of had the hubris of coming in from survival because we had to play games on our season that we were going to be better than the ISO players. But Kelsey and Treasure both have done nothing but perform.
Yeah.
So just super, super underrated. Everybody is a pretty good competitor. Like at this point in my brain where everybody has their own dangers.
Pretty equal in their own different skill sets for sure. Absolutely. Also like so that's like I think 2 out of 2 assumptions about ISO you guys got wrong about them. Would you guys work with them if you guys didn't think that they were so together? Like would you guys have done that, or would you guys stuck with survival? Because that is a natural thing to do, to like be inclined with survival people. It makes sense.
I messaged you after that one episode and kind of explained a bit of my strategy. That for me personally, I go into the game and pick one target and try to never stray from that, so that everybody knows that I'm going after that one person. So it kind of sucks seeing that Kelsey and Treasure were actually really good at comps, because now targeting them doesn't work out so well for me.
It's hard,
but I also don't want to stray away from it.
Interesting. Well, who would be your target that you said you pick one target? Is it just ISO? Or
well, he picked Leo at first.
Leo was my first target.
Okay, so who is it now?
Why Leo? Oh my goodness.
He just wanted to pick someone random, I'm guessing, and just go ham on it.
I think it's because Leo gave off the vibe he didn't want to be there.
Okay. So now who is your target now at this current moment? It's not Kelsey.
No, it's not Kelsey.
Probably Deleon, right?
Oh, Deleon?
Q and Deleon.
Oh, cute.
With Mike, like secondary.
Tangential to that.
Tangential.
Well, was Q always your target even when she didn't show signs of disloyal or loyal, like, you know?
If she was my target, I wouldn't have been keeping her safe. Like, me and Meg went out of our way to make sure that she wasn't in danger of being in elimination. Like,
well,
with
I wouldn't
Q,
say y'all didn't go out the way now, because Kelsey already agreed.
Kelsey started that.
Yeah, Kelsey started that.
We allowed, once she said Q, we attacked.
Well, yeah, of course.
So that, I mean,
but it was also because you guys didn't want Monet in as well.
Yeah.
well,
yeah.
it was weird
Better
because
than-
our original plan was to get Q and Dot in there
Yeah.
as pawns, but that didn't work out well. So then we were like, well,
Not a good plan.
Fanguy pointed
What
out
are you talking
that
about?
No, not for them. Not
It's
for
good
Q
for
and Dot.
Fanguy. It's good for Fanguy.
It's great for you. No, Fanguy, great plan by you.
Great plan.
obviously.
What are you talking
But
about?
I'm saying for Q and Dot, they're not gonna fight.
It was really just a bad plan for Q.
Dot almost did it.
Dot
Like,
was going to be
but-
safe. It was
Fanguy
Yeah,
bad.
that's
pointed
the thing.
out,
That's the thing.
like he said in his confessional, they voted in 2 non-survival folks. So we really just needed to keep Q out, and we were at risk of losing nobody at that point.
Yeah.
So me and Meg went into it. I don't know if it showed her and I talking about that, but we were like, we need to try to get Kelsey to make the decision to not put Q in. We need to make her feel like she's making that decision to help build trust.
Right.
But then when I'm leader, you hear me in the main chat saying, Q, you're the one out of the 5 that isn't going into elimination. Like we went out of our way to make sure she wasn't in danger because we wanted to keep her close.
I want to go back to the subject, but I want to go back to Fanguy for a second for his plan to have it be Dot and Q against him and Mike so that Mike could get voted out.
I got dual fold things to say. One, for me, it was completely strategic to all of a sudden group the ISO people together because Mike had made me such a big target. And in these games, when you're a huge target right off the bat, it's so easy for everyone just to say your name again and again.
Over and over until you go home.
Unless you paint some new targets.
Yeah.
So you can bet every conversation I had, it was like, oh, the ISO people are looking pretty chummy. The ISO people are looking pretty chummy because it was the only way to get some of the attention off of me.
For sure.
So you knew that isolation wasn't working together and you just made it seem like that.
No, I thought they were working together.
Oh.
As soon as Monet said,
he just made sure that people knew that.
As soon as Monet said she was coming in with some feelings, I was taking her for face value on that. So I was just making sure to highlight that to everyone. Like,
it's a good tactic. Yeah,
they're coming in with these bonds. As far as the plan goes, okay, look, I think another important thing that to notice about this show is it's a competition based show more than it's like a straight vote based show. So my plan to take Mike out by having Q and Dot throw it, it was twofold. You got to realize the 2 people coming for me at that time the most are Mike and Q. If I get that elimination paired the way I want it to, one of those 2 is going out no matter who wins. So, and for me, at that point in the game, in my brain, the biggest competition threat is Mike. So if I can get the biggest competition threat out without them even having a chance to defend themselves, I want to do it. So I was going to be happy to throw that competition and put my fate in the other side's hands. Q might have voted me out, but I had friends on the leaders that round that weren't going to vote me out.
Yeah. Dazed.
Go ahead.
So I had a question. Fuck. You were saying like you did all you could to sort of keep Q on your side and save her. Well, looking back on these episodes, do you think she still sort of was disloyal to you guys? Like, I feel like watching, I'm like, I think she is definitely down with Meg and Dot. And I think you were also in that core for her initially. And I think the more that you put her, like sway her away, the more she was like, okay, well, fuck Dazed at this point. So I just want to hear from that too.
I never really thought she actually wanted to work with me, but looking back, like she was, including me in that foursome minus Fanguy.
Minus Fanguy,
I think once people kind of got the hint that I was working with Fanguy, then maybe I'm tied in with him. And at that point, Q's like, no, both of them got to go then. But for Q, she's another one of those work with instead of working against. And I wanted to make sure that I had her close and at least had her ear in some way so that she wasn't targeting me. And we saw how I messed that whole thing up, but
that conversation with you and Q is literally the most awkwardest thing ever. And it's funny because you were saying how she's always quiet. And I'm trying to think of like my conversations in game with her. I'm like, it's never been quiet. Like, this is kind of awkward. Like, why is this happening? So I was like, wow, that is kind of unusual for her to just be quiet, you know? Yeah.
She said, and I quote, "She's quiet because people won't shut the fuck up." That's what she said.
I think I was getting close to Meg and Dot as well, and Q sensed that. Q sensed that their loyalties were sort of wavering. Q's really smart and really aware.
Yeah,
so
she knew she was at the bottom, and honestly, there wasn't too much to sort of be like, okay, I'm at the bottom, right? But she was definitely at the bottom, and she sensed that pretty quickly to now flip the tides. It's good drama. It's definitely good drama. Yeah.
We talked about this earlier on the podcast, at least for Dot and Meg's game.
Mm-hmm.
If Dillian is a target, why do this with Q right now?
Yeah.
So there was part of the plan going into it. We had discussed this before the meeting, was to rile up Q and then not throw her in and throw in Deleon so that Q would get pissed and make a target out of herself. But I underestimated the power of trying to argue against both Q and Deleon at the same time.
Yeah, you definitely
very bad idea. Very bad idea.
That's sort of a genius plan, but
that is impossible.
Execution was definitely not there. good thinking, but
no. To be fair, like that whole conversation between me and Q, like we were good for like the first 2 or 3 minutes of it, and then her saying that she never gave us any reason not to trust her. And in my mind, I'm like, you literally just tipped off Kelsey that we were going to be trying to throw her in, and from there on, it just exploded. And
valid.
So that's why, because I thought you were going solely based on what Dot said.
Oh,
so
that's how we
probably part of it.
It was part of it. First, me and Meg hear it from Kelsey, and we're thinking, why does Kelsey trust Q? Like, unless she gave her some type of information. Right. And then Dot, which another reason why I started fading from Dot is because he was trying to move in on my territory. Like both him and Q are trying to move in on my target that I'm trying to work over. Y'all, we can't do this.
That's my question for you, Fanguy. Like, why, other than maybe Dot, why is Kelsey the hot commodity?
Oh my God!
I feel like me and Meg were the only two not trying to like actively work with Kelsey. And then even Dazed talked me into making an alliance with her on this last one. You didn't see the one-on-one we had where he's like, I think we need to get Kelsey. So I was like, okay, I'm with you. Let's pull in Kelsey. I think Kelsey just showed her abilities in competition. She's been waxing everybody's ass. And I mean, apparently everybody likes her. So she's a great person to work with. Like,
that happened before the competition, I feel like. Y'all are getting cozy with Kelsey before she even won 2048.
Well, Dazed was for sure.
I knew
Kelsey. And Q.
Like when you have conversations with Kelsey, I know Meg said she couldn't read her, but Kelsey's eyes and facial expressions really give off when she's trying to not tell you something. And I knew that if me and Fanguy were in a chat room with her, looking at her, me and him could work her over really well.
Well, if you could read Kelsey, who is she actually working with right now?
I have a small information that you are very confident in your assumptions, and sometimes it could be wrong.
Absolutely
and then it fucks you over.
Sometimes.
But no, at this point, like I know she's at least talking to Q. I know that she's at least talking to Dot in some way. She's actually trying to talk to Mike a little bit. They're building a little something. So if we can talk to her and get her to spill little bits of information, we can use it to say, hey, y'all aren't sticking to the alliance that we had planned.
But at this current point, you guys have a pretty good alliance, right? And everyone's goal is to get out isolation, right? Well, before the blow up. But the thing is, if you guys started to understand that Kelsey was talking to everybody, why not get rid of Kelsey so that you guys can have each other still? You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess you guys didn't want this alliance anymore, but it seemed like a lot of you guys kind of did want to stay in this alliance. So, like, if that was the case, then why start getting Q riled up instead of making Kelsey?
Well, Kelsey's also a leader.
Yeah, that's true. That changed things.
Riling up Q was an accident. that solely on me for losing my cool.
It's not just you. It was a combination of you, Megan Dot not trusting her, and them wanting to work with Fanguy, and like all of those things. Like Q was always having the opposite opinion of what you guys wanted, and that's just not like there's no open communication with how to move forward with it. And they seem to have talks without her, so. It's not just you. Like, you're not the only reason why this whole thing blew up. However, I mean, you probably were the catalyst to why.
I was throwing more leaves and sticks.
Yeah, you
fire.
totally were. You threw more leaves than you should have, probably. But it's not just, I mean, Q really was at the bottom, and she, like, figured something out. She did some weird, crazy shit.
At this point in the game, Fanguy episode 4, do you feel like you're getting back under the radar, or do you still think you're a target other than to?
I'm definitely still a target. I mean, I think I have more allies than people would realize watching the show sometimes, because I'm really tight with everyone in the game at this point, except for maybe Q and DeLeon. Like,
no,
me and Treasure are cool.
I see that.
Me and Kelsey are cool. And then I got all the survival people. So I have a lot of allies, but again, it goes back to no one else has done anything. Well, maybe now Dazed has, but up to this point, no one has really done anything to put themselves out as a target. So I think Mike is still the main target for everyone, other than maybe me and like us now, where he's like a secondary target. Yeah, and I think I'm the second target for most people. That's kind of how I read the game at this point.
Did you build a relationship with Treasure at all after working in the elimination challenge? Did that form anything?
I'll say this, for me getting this reputation as the super slimy player, I was probably crossing the battle lines less than anyone. I think you actually, yeah, I would agree with that. All of my chats were only with my side, with my allies, with my people. I knew that I made a mistake season 1 by having too many allies, and at some part you have to start cutting them. And so I was trying to keep as much distance between me and Treasure and me and Kelsey and me and DeLeon as possible. Yeah. But you still have chats with people and you build connections. So,
You think this blow up benefits? I think this blow up benefits you 100%, Fanguy. I think that this blow up really pushed you really under the radar, even if you are Q's target at this moment and DeLeon's. If you survive, then you're pretty much under the radar for a bit because of all this back and forth. So I think it benefits your game 100%, and it's a good tactic that you kind of stay true.
Definitely didn't hurt. Yeah, no, it definitely didn't hurt. And me and Mike made the,
you and Mike.
With the way that Dazed and Q situation is shaping up right now, we picked a good time to call a ceasefire.
Exactly.
Because it does let us hopefully
simmer down, get past the drama, forget about it, And Dazed,
I genuinely do think I think me and Mike are going to be huge targets for as long.
Oh yeah. You're always going to be names that people throw in because of how it started off. It's always going to be like that. But as of now, Dazed, I mean, you put yourself in that position now too. You and Q. I mean, you both kind of blew yourselves up. How do you feel about? I feel like if you didn't do that, you were in Fanguy's position in terms of.
I'm feeling good right now because I'm safe.
Yeah, right.
Which was kind of the reason why I'm okay with doing this, because I still think I have numbers with Fanguy, with Kelsey, Dot, Meg.
Yeah.
So at this moment I'm feeling good, but I'll stop right there. I've told Nick already, I'm probably not going to watch the next episode.
Oh my God, why? Are you not safe next week? Don't spoil this.
No. I'm embarrassed with how things. Huh?
Did he want you to keep talking?
I'm embarrassed by my own behavior because that's not normally me. Like, y'all have never really seen me mad in any of these. And that's not.
Are we doing #cancel days next week? Is that what?
No. It's just. I
mean, you were mad at Mike in the first season.
Yeah, but like I was telling y'all earlier today, like, this is me watching back my road through sobriety. So from the first season when I'm shit-faced drunk to when I'm just starting out getting sober, and now I'm watching it back. And that was a time where I'm trying to learn new coping mechanisms. And I obviously still did not have them at that time. So it's just embarrassing for me to watch. I will watch it, but I'm just going to be like kicking myself.
You made me so curious about
kicking myself in the ass.
You are a good spoiler.
Well, any final questions for Fanguy or Days as we wind down?
Fanguy, who's your number one? If you had to pick one at this moment, is Dazed? Okay, cool.
Dazed.
This is Days.
Yo,
This is
And you're just Fanguy?
Dee Dee asked this question in the last podcast. She's like, why would these two work together? And it's like we can trust each other. We play similar games.
Yeah.
But there is, I think he'll agree with this, that there is a mutual understanding that if your game is severely in danger, like, shoot, I got to save myself.
Yeah.
Fanguy, were you worried about Days' paranoia?
Was I worried about Days turning on me?
No, worried about his paranoia.
I mean, I'm not worried about it. It just comes with the territory of work.
It literally does.
I mean, the paranoia brings out different scenarios to think about.
It does. He brings up a lot of stuff in chats that like aren't necessarily shown. Like he's always like, this person's coming for us, or maybe this person's coming for us. I'm just like, yo, it's cool. Not everybody's coming for us. Like just this person.
In reality, everyone's chilling.
To add to that, Days, I said earlier, they told me to repeat it again. When you like commentating everyone else and stuff, and like now you're playing yourself, like basically it's like you're commentating negatively on other people and stuff, but you're playing like the same, like not your what's it called, your communication skills, but your gameplay, like with your paranoia and stuff, is like you're basically playing shitty. Basically.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, first of all, me talking about other people, like I'm the biggest hypocrite I know.
I know.
Like I own that. You
Okay.
I will
as I
say, yeah, on the podcast, you always say that, to do as you say, not as you do.
Right. But yeah, I definitely get in my head. It's a learning experience. I know what not to do in the next time I play.
It's also people bring up different things in people, like Fanguy would never have guessed that Mike would be able to blow something up the first time and really bring him into the foreground, right, in the forefront. And then same with Mike, same with Dazed and Q, it's like that silence makes Dazed just like, you're awkward. like just things happen when you have dynamics in that. It's hard to control it. So, but that's funny. What Dee Dee said was funny.
Not trying to offend you. I just wanted to point it out.
Oh, there's only certain points that you have to poke to offend me, but other than that, I take most everything with a bit of humor.
Okay, you should, because you came for me very hard, so I'm gonna come for you the same way.
Oh, stop! I rooted for you in your ISO season.
That
so.
was ISO. We're talking about
survival. For sure, Dazed was definitely harsh on Dee Dee.
Wait till Aspen come back in the game if she does. I'm gonna go on her too.
Oh, I forgot we called you a goat the entire season.
Yeah.
I think you guys called her a goat like before the merge.
I don't think I did. I did.
No, I don't know. No, I don't think Fanguy did it. I don't think Fanguy did. But
Dazed, did you see my picture?
Yeah, well, I got your story. I couldn't figure out how to. Yeah, you sent that to me on an Insta story or something and tagged me. But I'm so old, like I couldn't figure out how to like look at it and like, share it and whatnot.
Well, this season is already crazy. Like I think the cast is superior in terms of bringing good like entertainment and bringing crazy gameplay, whether it's good or bad. It reminds me of Big Brother Canada 9, honestly. It's like a mess, but at least everyone's entertaining and fun. And
I think it's better game.
No, it definitely is. But I mean, it's still as entertaining.
There's just so many connections between everyone. It's just getting
exactly. It's crazy.
In the game, it's getting really muddled as to who's working with who because everybody's kind of working with almost everyone.
Yeah. Imagine the future returnee season with Nick as the host of this. Like, it's even more connections that like it's just random and all over the place. So you guys have to do what you have to do. You guys keep bringing entertainment.
It's fun though. No matter how much mental anguish we put ourselves through, like there's none of us that wouldn't say, "Oh my God, let me do this again." Like we're definitely. Yeah. If you ask us to play, we're gonna do it.
Like right now.
Oh, yeah.
Like, all right, let's do it.
Oh, Didi, you're gonna play again.
You're playing Big Brother.
If it's with certain people, I'm not gonna play again.
Oh, yeah, you and Carrie with the K are gonna play it.
Yeah.
You and Carrie K are the duo.
I'm not gonna play.
All right, I guess we will end it there. Thank you guys for joining us today. We will see everybody next week.
Yep.